Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. It's going to be a little bit different compared to everyone else's videos, as you can tell. And we're going to be talking about power. And we're going to be looking at my own power as well as comparing it to the biggest players in the kingdom. So you can imagine it's going to be a very fun episode. And we're going to check out what people have been doing around the world on Call of Dragons. So stay tuned for all the power rankings as well as some power tips in growing your account. Hello everyone, so yes, we're going to be going over power today. And I know you guys love power, how to gain power. It's the main thing of the game, right? It's the way you can brag how powerful you are. Obviously you can fight better the more powerful you are. So power is the biggest thing that is people love. And power is pretty simple, right? Power is split up into different areas. So if you go onto your more info area, you can break it down. So you can see my highest historical power was 29.079, which is my current power. And as I am building power, I'm gaining that through building tech, my actual buildings, my tech, and my legion and my hero power. So the things that you will always want to take note of is building power, tech power and legion power. These three generally will never change, apart from obviously if you've been zeroed, right? If you've lost troops, your legion power might reduce over time, but these three generally stay locked in. So it's a really good way to see how strong you naturally are, because as you guys know, in the hero power section I have 2.6 million power, right? Kind of nuts from just heroes. But as you know, the season resets, and because the season resets, it's gonna basically reduce this number down and you have to work it back up, right? So this is a fluctuation of a number when it comes to power. So, but you'll notice when you're looking at power, there's certain ways that you can gain more power than others. So there's always a hierarchy, or as we should say, a structure of like a pyramid structure on where you can get the most power. At the bottom is always buildings and tech power, and the way the builds and tech power gain you power is through two routes. You can notice there's an emphasis on basically lower required buildings. So if you look at like a lumber mill, this would only increase me 39.75k power, which might seem a lot, but if we upgrade our mana refinery, this is only from level 21 to 22, but it's already 72,000 worth of power. If we were going to look at 22 to 23, this is over 106.5k power. And you can notice basically the wood and the food is the lowest buildings of power, because these are the most common resources you're going to have access to, while your mana refinery is the most lucrative. As you guys know, mana is needed to heal all of your tier 4 and tier 5 troops. So always remember that when we're looking at certain buildings, because again, when you look at stuff like the Shaman Hut is a great way to gain power. As you can see, 152.3k power on this upgrade. But if we were going to compare that to like the storehouse is only giving you 59.7, and the reason why there's different power structures again is because of the influence of the building. As you know, with your healing hut, the higher the healing hut is, the more resource production you're going to have for your account. So it's better and it makes you stronger as an individual player, as well as it gives you that one step closer. If you notice, at level 25 you're going to get a 0.5% overall HP bonus, meaning your legion power is going to be even stronger because of your buildings. So a really, really good thing to take note of when you're looking at what buildings to upgrade. If you're looking for major power, always check on what you're wanting to do, right? Because even these big boy buildings where you train your troops, these will give you the most set of power with your research building and even your embassy, where not the arena, but the embassy for your rallying, which is your alliance center. So you're going to be able to get all of these major upgrades or major power buffs from those buildings. And when we look at tech works the exact same. So if you look at your economic tree, this one gives you the least amount of power. However, it is the most efficient for speed ups and your requirements. So as you can see, to get this completed 10 out of 10 if I really need to, it's only costing me 1.5 million tech with 1 day worth of research. If we compare to this one, this is now 8 out of 10, and you can see it's not that much worth of resources or the time, right? 2 days now to complete this, but you only get 49k power. If we look at military tech, where you actually have an impact on damage, you'll notice now it's 12 days for a little bit more resource too. And this is going to give you way more power because these are offensive stats. And you'll notice in this game, to get more power, you want to increase your offensive or obviously defensive capabilities. And this is through all of your military tree techs as well as your legion power, which is obviously built on your troops. So the more troops you have, the better, as well as the better upgraded troops you will have, the better. And then the final way, which we're going to go over about power before we go and check out some of the big boys here, is your heroes. Your heroes going to gain power over the seasons. This will drop and increase over time, as I have already mentioned. And the reason is you're going to gain a nice base hero power due to their skills. But when you start leveling up a hero gives you a ton of power. And this is because every time you level up a hero, you're going to gain legion capacity bonus as well as unlocking these skills. And that grants you 500 power each time you level them up. But you also gain another 500 power for every point you put into your talent page. So this is where you need to actually focus on your heroes and level them up and put talents in the talent page. But on top of this, and this is on all of that, you can add even more power if you make sure your hero has artifacts equipped. Because the better artifact equipped you have, the more power you're going to gain. Obviously, making sure every hero on your account has some sort of artifact equipped is always the best thing to do, because it's always going to give you power even when you reduce those seasons again from a reset. So I hope that makes it clear on what you want to do if you want to try and gain power. A nice quick summary, nothing too crazy and in-depth as you guys know and love, but I know from a nice basic understanding it's going to benefit you guys more. So if you want power, upgrade your heroes, equip artifacts. That's one way. Then upgrade the buildings. Buildings have priorities like your military and healing stuff. And then your research is the third way. And obviously through this, you're going to be able to increase it through your military tech tree as a primary push of power, while your economic tree is going to give you less power, but it's going to make it more beneficial for the speed ups that you're going to be using, right? So it's always determined on what you are going to be needing through there. So let's go over some other accounts. So as you can see, I'm at 29 million power. We have been playing this account for quite a while now, since server 4. We've done a massive amount of fighting through our tier 4 units that we've been using through here. You can see 10.6 million units killed, which is amazing. So you can see very big fighter, massive fighter, especially in the last seasons. And all my merits generally are always, I'd say 90% war based. You know, 10% are from farming merits and doing the merit guides and stuff like that. But apart from that, most of the kills are always based on PvP combat. So that's why I'm, you know, I don't farm them. I don't do all this. Is true stats at its finest, basically, for you, right? So let's go over to some other servers, right? Because this power is obviously quite good, right? You can imagine this is good power. I'm happy being at this power for where I'm at. But there is some bigger boys. So what we're going to do is jump over into a few different servers, and we're going to look at their top 5 powers. And by looking at their top 5 powers, you're going to see a massive difference in the capabilities of those guys, right? So we're going to showcase them. We're going to go on there more info and check out what stats we can look at, as well as then we're going to obviously compare them to myself, and you can showcase the difference. Obviously, as you can imagine already, it's going to be a big gap between us, but it's going to be interesting, I think, to see that, and for you guys to actually experience that and see how I approach it and how I look at other players' accounts. And if obviously one of the big boys are watching, I hope you guys might want to slip me a DM. We can do an interview. We can have some nice chats about the game, how you've been enjoying it so far, and you know what you're looking forward to hopefully in the future for Call of Dragons, right? So I hope that's something the viewers and some of the big boys that's coming up right now might be interested in the future. So let's go on. Let's move into a new server. Let's showcase some of the big powers and stop rambling on with all that. So if you enjoyed it so far, smash that like, comment, and subscribe. And then let's go now into first server 32 and showcase some of the top 5 power in that server 32 server. So here we are on server 49, and we're going to look at the rankings, right? So if we look at the power rankings here, this is a more newer server, as you can imagine, compared to server 32 and 33, which we are going to check out. But you can see the power ratings here, right? So the top power is 128.1 million, which is Boaty McBokeface, an amazing name, I must admit. And the cool thing is, when you go on here, you're going to be able to see his power, his merits, which is 5.5 million, which is amazing. But when you go on the more info page, you won't be able to see, as you can imagine, the different breakdown on his troops right now. But you can see that this is his highest power currently, which is really cool to see. But you can see again, victories, the amount of troops he has killed and won, right? So he's killed 120.8 million worth of units, and he's won 18.3k, and he's lost 8,100 times. It's a really good notice. That's basically almost a 2-to-1 plus victory rate. So you can see here that even though he is a massive whale, he still is doing a very similar job in the amount of kills he's doing, right? And that might be because of the amount of focusing, or even something simple as there might be not that much fighting on this server, right? So really cool, interesting to see Mr. Boaty McBoweface. This is server 49 if you want to check it out. We are on their division fighting. It's 49, 45, 47, and 50. So really cool server on division 14. So let's jump over to 32, and 32 has some more bigger players in there, and then afterwards we're going to see the top player and see, as you can imagine, who the #1 player is. So if you want to pin your comments below, smash the comments who you reckon it is. You should know if you've been following Call of Dragons for a long time, and even if you're a Rise of Kingdoms player, you should know who this player is. So let's go into server 32. Let's go into where some of the bigger players are, since Boaty McBokeface is, I think, around rank 10, rank 11, strongest player currently in the entire game, right? So honestly, a massive achievement to have for that player and his account in this game. So let's go into server 32. Let's check out some of the bigger powers, and again, try and see how this is going to impact, hopefully, matchmaking. Server 32, and all of you should know this one. If you don't know this server, you've been sleeping under a rock. This is the big boy, I would call, millionaire server, where a lot of the YouTubers and big whales made their accounts and played through as the BD or the Dragon Alliance. So here in the top 5, you can see 104 million is the rank 5 position right now, and we know there's a load of players stronger than this. Currently, the top, honestly, top 10 to 20 players all range between 120 million or higher. So if you're not 120 million, you're not going to be in that top 10 or 20 position currently in the entire game. That's not just your server, that's the entire game, which is bonkers, right? But when you look at the top 5 here, you can see there's only one BDO member, which is Loginus, which is, again, if you don't know who this person is Legionus, who I did a video on, if you not remember, on that flying cavalry video. He's the guy who was flying around with all the different T5s and killing other T5 players with those marches. So you can see he is in the 4th position, and when you look at his kills, 9.5 million merits, which is absurd. absolutely absurd, and he's gained that all this season, right? That's 1 season worth of killing. He's got over 119.6 million killed units, which is just terrifying for anyone who's on this server with this guy. 22.4k victories to only 9.1. Way better win to loss ratio, as you can imagine, compared to Boaty McBoatface. But you can see it's so close within the power, right? Their power rankings are so close, but the merits are really different, and this just showcases the difference between servers, right? Because each server has its own ecosystem. Each server, when you go into a different division, as you can imagine here in ours right now in server 32, you've got 32, 34, 46 and 48. So this is creating an ecosystem where you can thrive in really, really powerful and strong PvP, right? But if you're in a server that might not be as jam-packed as this one, then obviously it's going to be maybe a little less, you know, impactful, or a little bit more less aggression, you know, in that server to not gain those rankings. But what we will do, if we just pull out the notebook here, because we do have a notebook for some information I do write down for you guys here. Sean is the guy at the very top. So we've got DS Sean, or DF Sean. He is the very top player in the Dragon family. He's 171.8 million power. Then you've got King C in the rank 2 slot, and then you have what we call DF Dumb Crab at the 139.7 mil, which is rank 3 on the server. And when we were looking at these numbers, these guys, if you were trying to figure out where they were ranked in overall, Sean is the 5th strongest player in the entire game, which is absurd. This is such an insane feat to reach, but he is in the top boys. You also have, if you look, King C. King C is rank 7, and then Dumb Crab is rank 8. So you can tell the power in these guys, and they're all in the same alliance here, is so damn close in that top 10 ranking, which is so cool to see. We'll check out their actual stuff. 1.2 million merits only this season from the Dragon guys so far, and that's because, again, I'll know these guys haven't done too much fighting yet. Their main fight starts soon. So if you're wanting to know how crazy it's going to go, keep an eye on server 32 in a few days. And this is going to go into a cluster amount of merits. But when we go into the more info, you can see though the amount of units he's killed is still high. 102.2 million units killed with a 23.5k victories to 14.1k, meaning this is actually not that good, right? If this was 28k victories and 14.1k defeats, that'd have been a lot better, because you would have had such a almost 50% increase. So at the moment, this is almost like a 1.3 to 1.4 potentially win to loss ratio, which is very interesting to see for this player. But again, they haven't fought that much, so I'm not gonna, you know, say to these guys, you know, you should have more merits, because I know they haven't been fighting because of the situation of their server. But again, 134 million here, and this is what we're talking about. 134.3 million units killed, 25.1k victories to only 5.7k. This is almost a nearly 3 point win to loss ratio, right? If this was 5k, 25k, you can divide that number by 5 really easily. So that'll be a 5.1 ratio. So if we go into this is probably around 4,000, right? You got a 4.1, maybe 4.2 win to loss ratio, which is a really cool ratio, right? Really good to see how positive the trades are, right? His deads are only 59.1k as well, and the amount of troops he's had to heal is only 30 million, right? So really, really interesting to see the stats. And that is, again, look, King C isn't the strongest, but he has a better PvP stats generally, right? And we look at the Dumb Crab. Dumb Crab is 139, 1.1 mil, but again, going to more info, it tells you a different story, right? This is a more 50-50 almost win to losses. So they've been obviously fighting very heavily during their previous season, before the season merge. 108.2 million units killed. Really, really good. Again, kills, right? So you can see these three alliances here in the Dragon Familiar in Server 32 have worked together from the get-go. You can see they've been working together and doing a fantastic job fighting, right? So I hope you guys can see where I'm coming from now, right? Because you've got players like Leoginus, which is 121.5 million, and his merits is 9.5. He's got so many more merits compared to these guys currently, but that's because of the situation they are in, right? DS in the Server 32. If we do zoom out to give a little bit of context before we jump over, the DS guys have a free reign on Forgotten Lands, so we don't have to fight, right? But the BD guys were fighting from Sophrostia all the way into Kaltia. Kaltia's been a war zone with the BD guys fighting the NV and the other alliances on this side, which has been a really cool experience to watch, and as well as some other little skirmishes that's been happening from the BDO2 side at the very top with 32 right now. But those guys again have been allies, they've just been small skirmishes, nothing too crazy. So a lot of the major fighting is going to happen when these Hollandale and the Lorcan opens up for this server. So you can imagine their merits are going to go from 1.5 million all the way up to 5-10 million, like Leoginus is merits has himself, right? So let's go to Server 33, because Server 33 now is going to be the finale of this video. I hope you've enjoyed the video so far about power rankings and people's kills and what they've been doing so far. And we're going to be basically checking out the #1 player in the game in Call of Dragons, and that is all hidden in Server 33. Server 33. So here we are, big boy Server 33, and everyone's wondering, why do we say big boy 33? And that's because when you go into the divisions, 33 is fighting Server 31, 39 and 40, but when we go to the rankings, it is a big shock for a lot of players when they first see it. Mr. Nefesto, the big boy, 350.3 million power. Absolutely unreal. The biggest amount of power in the entire game currently. When you go to his more info, he's equally as aggressive. 196.2 million units killed, which is the most we've seen so far. 32,000 victories to 15.6k, which is almost, again, a 50-50 win rate. About a 1.5 win to loss ratio, which is good, right? It's always good to be above 1. You always want to be above 1. The higher you get above 1, the better your victory is going to be. But you can see this is his highest historical power to date, right? 350 million power. And you can imagine here, when you are this type of player in this type of game, you are very impactful on the open field. You have a bunch of troops that you're going to be able to send out in rallies, garrison multiple flags if you needed to in the Roots of War area. You're going to be able to absolutely have full marches, right? You would imagine full marches with this type of player. But when you do look inside the Server 33, you'll notice, even though we've got Wahid here, 123.8 million, who just missed out on today's major, talking about, you know, all the different big power guys, Northern Light and Southern Light are part of the Jedi alliances. And you guys know we've been covering the Jedi fighting through the War Room episodes, and the War Room PvP combat's been amazing because of Server 33, as you can imagine. And with this, you've got 160.1 and 193.8, and these guys are two friends in the Last Jedi server, right? And when we go into their more info, you'll notice these guys are just equally as insane. 145.8 million units killed, and they've healed 52.9, and they've got 28.9 victories to 13k, right? So this is definitely above 1.5. This is around 1.55, potentially going on to 1.6 win to loss ratio. Really good, again, to have a positive win to loss ratio on this account. We go to the Southern Light, and it's 6.7 merits currently, but we're going to more info. Again, the biggest out of everyone so far, 200 and 17.6 units killed. And that is terrifying. 217.6 units killed, and his victories is nearly 40,000 to his defeats at 16, meaning he's almost going past, and he potentially might be that 2.1 win to loss ratio on his victories defeats, which is going to be, again, one of the first players to do this at this level of a power creep, right? These guys, if you guys are wondering, and I know you guys are probably maybe going crazy in the comments or as you're watching it, these guys are the top 1%. These are where all the big boys, the big millionaires are all spending all their money and showcasing what true power and what a true account would look like in the end game. So even in the future, guys, if you play this long enough, you know, 2, 3, 4 years potentially, you've been playing this game, you will have very similar power. You're going to have that 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 million power for your account. And that's even as a free-to-play, you're going to be earning speed-ups and going and pushing that tech in order to reach these levels. I just want you guys to know, as we've been doing this video, and as you can tell on Overpower, I don't want you guys to feel like you need to push. This game's all about fun. It's all about a marathon. You don't want to be rushing as fast as you can unless you have the capabilities to do so, right? The game isn't a sprint. It's always a marathon. Take your time, enjoy each season, and have fun with your friends that you'll be playing with, right? And if you keep doing that, you're gonna enjoy the game. I promise you. Even when you go through your first season reset and you feel a bit down and you're like, why have I got rid of basically all my best heroes are back to level 1? Once you get going again, you'll realize that type of mechanic is actually very beneficial for you, and it helps you outgrow as a player. So hope you've enjoyed today's video. I know it's a little bit of a different one compared to what we normally do. I thought for once, you know what, as we do a load of community stuff, let's look at the top big boys of the community and give a little bit of light on them. And if any of you who've been showcased in today's video, if you want to do an interview and you want to, you know, make some content with myself, just pop me a DM in Discord and we'll try and arrange that with you guys, right? So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Smash a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you loved this power video on how to increase your power, and then obviously checking out all the power big boys in the game, currently the top 9 to 10 major powers that are running as a individual account, right? So if you've enjoyed it, until the next one, stay safe, stay sneaky, peace out all.